Hello everybody and welcome to another brand new episode here at the Red Devils Disciples. I'm your boy Rob and we've got a massive game coming up this afternoon, which is Manchester United, or should I say Luton Town versus Manchester United. We're going to go through the game a little bit, talk a little bit about the team selections, possible selections, a bit of update on team news, and just talk a little bit about a few ongoings. First of all, I think it's really important to say that obviously we've got Luton Town, who are currently sitting at 17th in the Premier League, versus Manchester United, which is sitting 6th. Now, this is quite deceiving because at the end of the day, Luton Town, or any team in the Premier League, should I say, can on any given day beat any other team. Big result for us yesterday was Spurs dropped 3 points, and they lost to 11th place Wolves. So it kind of shows you that there is no room here to take anything for granted in this title race, or in this Champions League race, should I say, in the Premier League in general, should I say. We're not in the title race, don't kid yourselves. But yeah, no, a win today would take us within 4 points of Spurs, which would be a big improvement from where we were a month ago, and also 5 points away from Villa and that sort of fourth spot that we want to end up in. Don't get me wrong, yes, we can come fifth, and there's a big probability, I think it was something like someone said that 70% chance that fifth place will be good enough for Champions League next year, but we shouldn't be counting on that. We need to get into the top four, we need to be up there, making sure we're in the Champions League next year, not taking any chances. The loss from Spurs yesterday makes this an even bigger must-win game. I think gaining any ground that we can on the teams above us is a big yes, should I say. And with City looming round the corner, that's a game where I don't expect to get 3 points, to be honest with you. So we need to make sure that all these games in between, we are maximising our points tally. Our form after today could be winning 5 games on the trot, which we haven't had all season. We're in the best run we've had this year, so it's really good to see, and we need to keep up that momentum today with making sure that we get another win today. Just in terms of the pre-match, the interview with Ten Hag, again, was asked about the youngsters coming in. He said he had a really good crop of youngsters, and he kind of forced them into the first team a little bit earlier than he would have liked. But what he realised very quickly was that the youth team, or the youth players, the young players, were better than the first team. So it made no sense to hold them back. He just put them into the first team, which is kind of different to what we've seen previously with other Manchester United managers. I mean, we rarely saw it with Jose. We rarely saw it with managers like Oli, and we didn't really see it with Ragnick. We had a couple of young players that came into the squad, but none that have really made it, other than probably Rashford, possibly, and that was Van Gaal, if I'm not mistaken. But my point is, it's good to see so many young players coming into the first team, and it's something that we have built our traditions on, and something that we want to see going forward. He was asked about competing for titles, and this was a big question for me. And the reason for that is because he very openly said that to compete with FFP rules, or to comply with FFP rules, he's had to sign young players and bring in young players. So it was part of a dual sort of reasoning for bringing these young players into the first team. He said that previously, you look at Manchester United have always been a signing club who signs big players and brings them in, which we have been. We'll always bring in 1 or 2 big players, but the core of the team was always Manchester-based, or had spent years at Manchester United. And he said it's going to be a slower process, but it will pay off. He was asked about Kenilworth Road and talking about the atmosphere there, and he cheekily responded with, what's so different about it? He almost joked, what is it? Is it not 11 versus 11? Is there no referee? Is the pitch bigger? And he was joking about it, saying this is just another game. We need to make sure we get our 3 points. But he did go on to say that he understands and doesn't, in any way, shape or form, not value what Luton bring to the table. He is not going to underestimate them in any way. He talked about the respect he has for them. They were promoted last year. They came third in the championship, then won that, the playoff. Have come up, and it hasn't been smooth sailing like they would have liked. But they're currently sitting outside of the relegation zone, and they're going to they're fighting for survival. So expect today to be a really tough game. And very similar to them, we need every point we can get, and so do they. So it's going to be a tough one. Obviously, then talked about looking a little bit into Luton, should I say, not talked about. Both Manchester United and Luton this year have got 33 goals scored, which is kind of crazy when you think about the fact that one of us is sitting in 6th and one of us is sitting in 17th. We've got the same amount of goals scored as a team in 17th place. Now, we've had a big run of goals in the last few games, so that would have taken us up to equal them, which is kind of scary to how few goals we have been scoring. Last 4 games, we've seen a bit of a turn happening. Our attack is starting to get a bit more confident, starting to be a bit more aggressive with the ball, starting to want to score more goals. And the one was never the issue, it's just we couldn't finish, let's be honest. But conceding goals as well is the difference. So we've conceded 33 and they've conceded 45. So they are open and they have got chinks in their armour to conceding goals. So it's one of those where I would like to see us putting that pressure on, initially getting a goal and then sort of maybe hitting the counter-attack. Formationally, they run a 5-4-1 but transition into a sort of a 3-4-3 or 3-4-2-1 sort of formation, and they like to hit on the counter-attack quite quickly and explosively. Expect overlapping fullbacks again, just like we expected with Villa, and expect it to be one of those clubs, especially with where they sit in the league, that sits back and hits us on the counter-attack, almost like saying, you come at us today. Kind of situation. And those are clubs that we have struggled with against the past. So I would like to see us very much dominating, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. In terms of form, Manchester United's last 5 is 4 wins, 1 draw, no losses. In the Premier League, away from home, we have 3 wins and 2 losses. So our away record isn't great in the Premier League, although it is improving, we must say. Luton's last 5 is 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. And that includes a 4-4 draw against Newcastle, which shows you they're not a team that's just going to lie down and take it. They will come at you, and they will try to give you a game. So I expect the same today. Their home record at the moment is 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses, and obviously they're at home today, which again is sort of an odds-evens type of thing. And I fully expect Luton to fight for everything that they can get today. It's not going to be a walkover, but if anything is positive, obviously the last 10 meetings that we've had with Luton, we've won 9, drawn 1 and lost none. However, let's be honest, only 2 of those games have been in the last, 20 years, and this one was a few years ago in the Cup and one was in November. The November game ended 1-0, which again shows that Luton aren't a pushover, and we were home at Old Trafford. Now granted, it was at the period where we were struggling with team selections and so forth, but I don't expect away from home to go in there and expect our team to just expect to win the game. I said expect like 5 times there, I don't know if you noticed. But I fully appreciate that Luton are fighting for survival and this is going to be a hard game. In terms of squad news, Luke Shaw is doubtful. Back in training, yes. Only played half the game against Villa. I'm not sure, looking at Erik ten Hag's history, if he will risk him. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is still going to be a few weeks out after a setback, again in training. Mount and Malacia are still out a while away from getting back to the team, which is obviously a bit of concern. And Erik ten Hag spoke about it a little bit in the press conference, saying that Malacia had suffered setbacks, which is a bit of a shame because he was almost ready to come back. But they feel that they've turned the corner with it. In terms of the actual lineup, guys, that I think we will go with today, obviously Onana will start and go. He had a good game the last game against Villa. I do think I want to see more from him. Whether it was luck or positional awareness, I don't know. But the ball kept hitting him, and I want to see that happening more of the same today. In terms of defensive line, I think that Lindelof will start at left back. We saw that happen at the half time where Shaw came out. Is he the preferred choice? Absolutely not. I think Luke Shaw will be the preferred choice, but I think Ten Hag has shown in recent history that he doesn't try to rush players back. He'd rather have them get back when they're ready, so that it's not a long-term issue for them. Harry Maguire had a good game, very aerially dominant in the last game. I want to see more of that from him. I want to see a better game from Varane. I was a little bit disappointed with his game last time out. And Diego Dalot, I just want to see more of the same. He had individual battles down the right back. Quiet game, which meant that nothing came onto him. He didn't make many mistakes. Maybe a bit more offensively from him. Although we did get that amazing cross that he gave to McTominay in the final minutes of the game. So I want to see more of that happening. And see that more regularly from him. In front of them, obviously, it's Mainu, Casemiro. They need to set the tempo today. Villa, I felt like it was a more defensive game. I feel like today they need to set that tempo, quick forward passing, pushing on against the team and making sure that we explode on the counter-attack today. I want to see them really get a grip of the midfield, and expecting a good game from both of them. I want to see Casemiro today. I have a feeling that he's now at that point where he's back, he's had a few games. I want to see him make that extra step up and be the Casemiro we knew from last year. Bruno Fernandes in front of them. He's going to have to help with counters today. I fully expect us to get hit on the counter. So I think against Villa, he left us exposed a little bit, which is why Ten Hag made the adjustment to right wing at the end of the day to bring McTominay in, so he was a bit more control in midfield towards the end of the game. But I want to see him taking more control in defence. Yes, offensively go forward and explode forward. Yes, I want to see all of that. I want to see him grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck, But I also want to see defensively him being a bit more level-headed, shall we say, and not leaving us exposed. On the wings, we're going to go with Rashford and Garnacho again. Keep that consistency going. We've finally got a team that isn't injured every other week, and we have to change the whole squad. So we want to keep that going as much as possible. Might be a bit of a tough game for them if Luton do decide to sit back with the 5 back over them. But if we can get an early goal, I fully expect the game to open up for them, in which case we'll see Garnacho and Rashford get a lot of joy today. That first goal is going to be absolutely key. And then obviously as our striker, I'm going with absolutely the monster Højlund. I think he is going to come good. I just want to see more goals from him. I want to see him getting more opportunities, though, simple opportunities rather than the ones that he has to earn himself or work for himself. But it's one of those where I'd like to see him get another goal and keep that momentum going. The only thing I could see Ten Hag switching around is potentially Luke Shaw, based on whether or not he's ready. But like I said previously, he traditionally doesn't like to risk players who are coming back from injury, as he'd prefer to have them ready for long-term games, shall we say, rather than having that one risk and potentially setting them back by a few months or a few weeks. Again, in terms of the game itself, I can see it being a frustrating game for us if we can't score an early goal against them. At the same time, I don't want us to rush things for that first goal, because I think once that first goal goes in, either way, it's going to be an explosive game end to end. If we can control the game, control possession, get an early goal, I fully expect Luton second half to throw themselves forward, in which case we can hit them on the counter. They'll be more open, more exposed, and I can see us getting a few goals. In terms of my 3 focus points, like I always like to give, sorry, it's tradition from when I was a PE teacher. I used to give a 3-2-1 system, which was 3 focus points, then 2 further, and 1 more. But yeah, whatever. First 10 minutes, 10 after the half, and the last 10 minutes. No mistakes. And I want to use the word mentality monsters. Those 3 periods of time are when we concede our most goals. If we can get a handle at those 3 periods of time, and it's only a third of the game, I think we stand a good chance of winning most games, to be honest with you. But those are the 3 periods of time we really need to work on. We switch off at the start of the game sometimes. We switch off after the half for the first 5-10 minutes and, being caught out. And then we switch off the last 10 minutes, almost like, oh, it'll be fine. We'll just keep bombarding forward. And maybe an adjustment in tactics in terms of either controlling possession or sort of closing the game out and just being a bit boring. I know it sounds counterproductive, but actually just controlling the game would be the ideal in those time periods. So that's the no mistakes and mentality monsters is number 1. Patience is the second one. Yes, we need to score the first goal. If we concede the first goal, this is going to become a very tough game for us. So what I want to see is control of the game and being ready to hit them on the break. When those 2 opportunities do come. That's when we're at our best, is fast, explosive counter-attacks. That's why it's really important that we get that first goal. And the third one is just professionalism. Listen, get the job done, be ruthless. If we get that first goal, try and get a second, try and get a third, try kill the game off. If we can kill the game off early, fantastic. Nice, easy afternoon for us. But if we don't kill them off, Luton will come back into the game. Luton will come and score 2 or 3 goals because they've done it before. They did it to Newcastle. They've done it to other teams. It's one of those things where we need to make sure we are ruthless. Yes, they're 17th place. Yes, on paper, top-end team versus a lower-end team, newly promoted team even, should be an easy game. You are not going to walk in there and win this game easily. Proof of it was Spurs at the start of yesterday, where Wolves did them in, essentially. It's really important, and let that be a warning for us, that what happened to Spurs doesn't happen to us. In terms of my predicted result, I am going to go with 3-1 to United. I have a feeling we'll get an early goal. I have a feeling Luton will push up. Now, second goal will go either way, but I do see us going 2-0 before it goes 1-1. I can see us potentially getting a third, or Luton scoring, and then United getting the final goal. 3-1 is what I'm going with. So far in my predictions, guys, I have got the three end results right, which are 3 United wins. However, my scores are always on point until 80th minute, and then it just explodes everywhere. Throws my results out the window. But guys, anyway, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and more importantly, let's get this W today. Man United for the win. Close that gap up into the 4th and 5th place. Get that Champions League spots back.